Hey guys, so today's video isn't going to be beauty related, but it's going to be about anxiety and panic attacks. And normally this would be something that I would be afraid to talk about. Once upon a time, I was very uncomfortable with talking about my anxiety and my panic attack situations, but now I'm a bit more open to it, and that's all because of the help of you guys. Every time I post anything on Instagram or Twitter saying that I don't feel good or I'm having a particularly anxious day, I get a flood of comments of people giving me so much advice and so much love and so much understanding, and it means the world to me that there are people like that understand what I'm going through, and it's just really uplifting for me because a lot of my life I've gone through it thinking that I was the only one, or that most of the people in the population don't understand what I'm going through, so I was afraid to talk about it. But I believe that talking about it now will not only help me but maybe some of you. Bottom line, it's very important to know that you're not alone in this situation and that anxiety and panic attacks are extremely common, and I've learned that through Instagram and through you guys talking to me about it, and it's really helped me kind of gradually get better and see things differently. So if you want to know more about my anxiety and my story, and also I answered a bunch of your questions that you had asked me a few weeks back, then please keep watching. Basically, my anxiety started around 8th grade. I think I was 14 years old, and I remember my first panic attack, and it was in the hallways of my school, and it was just so random and weird, and ever since then I've had them on and off for I don't know how many years that is. Let me say 7 years. So that's a long time to be having or suffering from something like anxiety and panic. And if you don't know what it is, or if you're watching this because you have a family member that suffers from anxiety and panic, you really need to understand that it is probably a bigger deal than you think it is. It's not something that, oh, this person just thinks a certain way or doesn't know how to handle themselves in certain situations. It is a very scary feeling. I've been told by many therapists that it is actually one of the most scariest feelings that a human being can possibly endure. It is literally like feeling that you are about to die. And I just wanted to put a little disclaimer in here that I am not a professional, I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I am not anything in the professional field as in terms of anxiety and panic and mental health issues or anything like that. The reason why I decided to make this video is in the hopes of helping maybe at least one person, just knowing that you're not alone and that it can be treated, and it's something that isn't something that you should be so afraid of, because I know that just feeling that you're alone in something itself can be so scary, but once you know that so many people are going through it, it can really help you to feel better about it. So that's my main goal in this video, and also giving you a little information about myself and what I've gone through, and maybe a couple of tips on how I've helped myself in ways and situations throughout my life when I was particularly anxious or having a panic attack those days. And yeah, I just hope that this video helps a few people. I'm, again, not trying to give any type of medical advice. I'm not telling you to go against your doctor or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to talk to you about my experience in hopes of helping you with yours. So that's my small disclaimer. I just wanted to give a little bit of information on the difference between general, just regular anxiety that everybody gets, and anxiety attacks and anxiety disorder. Regular anxiety is something that people get on maybe a monthly basis or once a year, or whenever you're in a situation that makes you anxious, such as if you were a person that had to go on stage right now and talk in front of 50,000 people, and your heart was beating fast and your hands were sweaty and you were feeling really, really anxious, that would be considered normal. The reason why anyone would tend to get concerned about their anxiety is when it gets out of hand or it starts interfering with your life and the daily things that you do. So usually what happens is that people have panic attacks maybe once in their life or twice or a few times, and then they tend to fear them. So you get afraid of the fear itself, and that manifests itself into a bigger fear, and then you're just in like a circle of fear that just like never ever ends because you're just so in the fear. I hope I'm making sense to you, but I'll try and explain a little bit better. Basically, my first panic attack is what started my anxiety disorder. If I had reacted differently to it, if I had gotten treatment right away for it, if I had done there's so many things I wish I would have done back then when I was younger, but I didn't. So that manifested itself into something that is greater now, and something that is a problem and affects me every day, because I do get anxiety for things that I shouldn't be getting anxiety for. Basically, I've met a lot of people who have asked me about my anxiety, and I explained to them what it is, and they're like, oh my god, I think I have an anxiety disorder too, because I get nervous for so and so and blah blah blah, and my heart races and this and that. And I just wanted to explain to you that it is normal to get occasional anxiety for things that they consider normal to get anxiety for. That's something that I still to this day completely don't understand, because what is normal for you may not be normal for me, but if it's written in the book, then I guess it is what it is. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to start answering your questions now, because I can honestly ramble about this topic for hours, but I want you to get the information that you want, so I'm going to answer your questions now. And the first question is, how did you figure out you had anxiety? Like I said, I had my first panic attack at school, and the nurse, actually, I had gone to the nurse while I was having it because it felt weird and something that I had never felt before, so I thought something was happening to me that wasn't right. So I went to the nurse, and my heart rate was actually really, really fast. And the nurse called my mom and said, you need to take her to the emergency room or to her doctor, because her heart rate is super fast and we don't know why. And she just wanted to make sure that I was okay. So my mom picked me up and she took me to the doctor, and the doctor did an EKG and just a few tests, and basically he said to me, you have an anxiety disorder, general anxiety disorder. That's what he told me, and I was in 8th grade. So after that day, I was just left so confused. I didn't get like a pamphlet or anything. I didn't really get much information on it. I was 14 years old. I had never, ever, ever heard of anxiety before. I thought that I was such a weirdo. I thought I was so different from all my friends. It really made me want to isolate myself. It made me miss a lot of days of school that year because I just felt different, and I felt like there was something wrong with me, and I didn't have anyone to tell me that it was okay and that there was nothing really wrong with me and that it's not that big of a deal, that it's something that a lot of people go through and it's treatable. So yeah, that's how I found out that I had anxiety initially. The next question is, when you do feel anxious, what do you do in the moment to stop it? Well, I'm honestly still trying to figure that out. My anxiety is like super weird. It'll go away sometimes for like almost a year, and then one day it'll be like bam and just hit me again, and I'm like anxiety ridden for like months. It's like so weird. But some methods that I've used in the past was like to take a warm bath. That usually helps me with like some like lavender smelling soaps or something. That's very relaxing for me. I really, really love baths. I've been doing that method since it first started, and that's really calming for me. If I'm having a very, 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 very bad panic attack that is out of control, which is rare for me now, there's plenty of medications out there that I'm sure your doctor or whoever would prescribe to you if you needed, that can help you calm down if you cannot do it yourself. But my best advice for you is to really learn how to control it yourself, because it'll make you not only feel better that you don't need something to assist you with it, but it'll also make you feel like you are in control and you have the power, and not some pill that has control or that your anxiety has power over you. So I suggest really meditating and exercising a lot and doing yoga and eating a lot healthier has really like helped me over the years. Like switching from like totally eating junk food to being gluten-free and trying to eat a lot healthier has really helped me. Other things that may help are like reading a book. When you start to feel your anxiety coming on, just read a nice book, read something that's uplifting, nothing like sad or scary or anything like that. I like to either read or like watch a movie on Netflix. I'll go on Netflix and put a movie on as like when I'm feeling it coming on, and it'll totally just take my mind off of it. Basically, do something that makes you happy to take your mind off of the situation. Because if you sit there in your anxiety as it's happening, as it's snowballing into a panic attack, and you just let it happen, it's going to happen. So you kind of want to just like stop it in its tracks. It's hard, it's really, really hard, and I do understand, and my best advice for you is to really just try. To try your absolute best to not let it take over you, to not let it control you, to not let it stop you from doing the things you love, because I've let it gone that far before, and I do regret it because it has ruined many things in my life, and it's really, really sad that this has to happen, and it doesn't have to happen because you are in control. And I know many people might disagree with me when I'm saying that you're in control, because you might have been told by people that this is a chemical imbalance, or this is something that's genetic, something that you cannot control without the help of a substance, without this and that. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, and I'm not saying that I'm right, but this is my opinion, and I do believe that you have a lot more control over your brain than you think. Humans have a lot more control over themselves than they think, and I have a little story to share with you that I think is very important, and it's special to me, and I actually recorded it on my phone, but I don't want to show that recording because it's of me in the hospital, but I do want to share this story with you so I can explain to you how much control your brain has over your body. So just a few months back, I had a very bad panic attack, I guess you could say. I was very afraid because my heart was palpitating, and I do have something called PVCs, which is not a big deal at all, but I tend to make them a big deal in my head because I have an anxious mind. So I decided to go to the hospital to get them checked out, and I was in the emergency room, and they had done an EKG on me, and my EKG was fine, but they said that they wanted to put me on a monitor just to double check that everything is okay. And that scared me because I felt like, okay, they want to put me on a monitor. Is it because they really see that something is wrong? Am I dying? Am I having a heart attack? I just start thinking all of these intrusive thoughts is what they're called, which are thoughts that are just things that would never really happen, things that are not happening, and your mind is kind of playing like tricks on you. So I was sitting there with this monitor on me and the computer screen or whatever, and my heart was reading like 130 beats per minute, and I was just laying down, so that was like pretty high for someone who's laying down and doing nothing. So every time I looked up at the screen, it would go faster and faster, and it was just so odd, and I was just like, this is so weird. I think something is really, really wrong. And a nurse came in and she asked if I wanted an injection of this medication to calm me down, and it was like this big needle, and literally my heart rate shot up like so many more beats per minute because I saw that, and I was like, no thank you, I'm fine, I don't need that. And as soon as she left, it dropped down again. We were like, okay, this is kind of obvious that it's all on me and that I'm controlling my heart rate in a way. So I sat there and I was just waiting for the doctor to come in, and I was waiting for a while, and over time I was just panicking more and more and getting scared, because usually in the past, whenever I've gone to the hospital, not really the hospital, it's like an urgent care where I would have a panic attack, they would check me in like 5 minutes and discharge me and tell me to go home, you're fine, you have a panic attack. But they were keeping me extra long, so it worried me. So I sat there and I rang up the doctor, and I looked at him and I told him, listen, if there's nothing wrong with me and you don't see anything, can I please go home, because this monitor and everything is actually making me more anxious, I think. And he said, yeah, sometimes those things have that effect. Usually they make it worse than better, and actually you are fine, and I was just going to tell you, you can go home if you don't want to take the medication. So I said, thank you very much, and that's it. And he left the room, and literally 30 seconds later, my heart rate drops down to like 68 beats per minute. It was like absolutely like unreal. Like I saw it with my own eyes, and I think when you see something like written right in front of you. It's like such an eye-opener. And right away the doctor walked in and he looked at me and he had like his hand on his hip like this and he was like, I just wanted to say you are like the perfect candidate for, like, I don't even know what he said, something like some kind of I'm the perfect candidate for some kind of like research on how like the brain can really like control your body and like what's going on. So pretty much I was like making my heart go fast with my thoughts. It was like so weird. He said if he ever needed me for any like experiments or anything like that about anxiety, he'll give me a call. He was like, I've seriously never seen this in my entire life. He's like, the second I told you you could go home, your heart rate went down like half of what it was. He was like, this is totally anxiety, just go home and relax. It was really such an eye-opener for me, so I want to share that story with you guys so you can maybe pay attention to what goes on when you're having anxiety and realize that it's really mind over matter, and to make yourself comfortable. So what made me comfortable was him telling me that I'm okay and I can go home, and you can make yourself comfortable with other things, like I was saying, baths, reading, movies. Just distract yourself and you'll see in time that you're fine and nothing happens. In the end, nothing ever happens. People don't die from anxiety. People don't die from panic attacks. Even though it literally truly feels like you're not gonna die. And I'm such a hypocrite for saying this because I feel like it every day and I still convince myself that I am. But I can give you advice even though I can't take it. My next question is, when was your worst anxiety attack? I don't really like categorize them or know which one is worse than another because all of them to me are pretty much, well, there's some that are more like mild than others, but I've had so many that they're all just bad in my opinion. I don't think anyone is worse than the other. They're all just pretty intense and pretty like traumatizing. How do you cope with your anxiety? I cope with my anxiety a little bit better now. Just knowing that, like I said, people are out there that have the same thing with me. I love to read forums and things like that on people explaining their stories and sharing my story. It's just really comforting. I cope with it through my family and my friends and people who just understand me and support me and love me. That really helps me out a lot. Talking to a counselor is always a really good thing and something that can be really beneficial to you. So if you're suffering from any type of anxiety or panic or anything that's bothering you and you just need someone to talk to, I highly recommend counseling. It's just something that's helped me a lot, just knowing that there are people who understand what you're going through, who are professionals and can help guide you in the right direction to what to do next in your life to get yourself better and back on your feet and back to who you really are. Because when I'm in this like anxious, like, I don't know what to call it, like episode, I'm generally just not myself. So what I try to work on is just being myself again, which is a happy, energetic, pretty fearless person. Like, my normal self could get on a plane and fly to the West Coast, but me, my anxiety self, I would never step foot on a plane to fly 3 minutes from my house. Like, it's just not who I am, and you have to realize that it's not who you are, it's not a label, it's not your identity, it's just something that you're suffering with and dealing with, and something that can be totally controlled or eliminated at that. Do you feel crying only worsens your attack or helps to relieve you? Honestly, when I cry, I feel that as of lately, it's been making it worse because when you cry, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but my throat tends to close up because I get like really upset and you're like emotional, you're crying. And when you're crying, you just feel overall crappy, like you don't feel good. So that would make my anxiety worse because I'm like, now my throat's tight and now I feel like I can't breathe, and just crying doesn't really help me like it used to. Back a while ago when I first had it, when I would cry, it would kind of like relieve some of my symptoms. But now not so much. It's not really that helpful to me at all. I was doing well, but I just had a panic attack in the mall. I started watching your videos and it seems as if a lot of beauty gurus have it. I don't feel alone. But what do you think sets it off? I was just talking to my husband and bam, had to sit down and fan my face. That literally happens to me all the time. Like, I'll be talking to a friend or whoever, and like they'll be talking to me and I'll kind of just go in a daze, and they're like right in front of my face talking to me, and I'm looking at them and I look like I'm listening to you, but I'm totally like in fear and I'm totally not listening to a word you're saying, and I'm just like randomly getting these intrusive thoughts and these anxiety thoughts and these feelings, and just like, oh my God, what if this, what if that? And that's kind of my issue. My issue is that I ask what if way too much, and that is not a good thing if you have anxiety. You need to stop asking yourself what if and just live your life in the moment and know that you're okay right now, and whatever happens happens in life, and you can't really control that. And I think a lot of anxiety is about people who have issues with control, which is definitely something that I have. I like to be in control of a lot of things in my life, and I know that panic is something that is very hard to control, so it makes me feel so out of control that it freaks me out. But you have to understand that in life, there's so much that you can't control. You can't control when you're gonna die. You can't control what's gonna happen tomorrow. You can't control if it's gonna rain. You can't control a lot of things. You just don't know what's gonna happen. And a lot of that is what anxiety is, those thoughts. Oh my God, what if my heart rate going up right now is me having a heart attack? What if my headache is me really sick and I'm about to faint? I feel dizzy. No, in reality, it's just anxiety. If you learn how to manage it, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. You are fine, but you will be much more fine, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Just really live your life as if there's no tomorrow, as if tomorrow doesn't exist, as if today is the last day in the world. Just be happy, just try your best, and that's the best advice that I can give to you. You know you talk too much when your camera dies in the middle of a video. So I just took a pause and played Grand Theft Auto, and now I came back and my battery's low again. So I'm gonna wrap up this video. There were a few more questions, but they were generally like all the same, and I think I basically answered them all in my own way. So yeah, that's my advice to you, and this is kind of like a venting session for me. So if you guys want more anxiety related videos, if you guys have more questions or whatever, just leave them in the comments down below. It would be awesome for you guys to just help each other out in the comments down below with your questions and whatever. I'll also obviously comment you guys back, but just like little things, like little remedies, like drinking a chamomile tea, for example, which I forgot to mention. I actually drink a chamomile tea every night before bed, and it really calms me down and gets me ready for sleep. So yeah, just little things like that. I really hope this video was helpful for you guys. It was kind of hard for me to record, and I hope I didn't offend anyone or anything like that. This is solely just my opinion and what I've gone through. So yeah, I hope it was helpful, and that's all I was trying to do, was just to help somebody and just reach out. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more videos, and leave any suggestions down below as always. I don't think I have anything else to say except thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys in my next video.